One half of the Great White North, Sheamus's theme music playing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Squared Circle podcast. Of course, as always, on Spreaker.com, iTunes, Player.fm, PodDirectory.com, Stitcher.com, TuneIn Radio, IW Nerd, as well as Satchel Podcast Player for the Android and smartphone, as well as Castbot.fm. And, of course, as always, on YouTube as Mr. NTG1990. Hello, everybody. Host with the most, Nate the Effing Great here. Of course, here with my good friend and as well as Beattie Club member, Squared Circle Podcast Champion Max. Beattie, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Been having a pretty rock-solid week. And that's Squared Circle Podcast Heavyweight Champion. My name on the end of it. Still a lovely, lovely ring to it.
Yes, indeedy. And unfortunately, our good friend Spencer Hart will not be joining us. He's dealing with an emergency right now. All we could say right now is, best of luck to Spencer right now. Stay strong, buddy. So, we're going to be covering Monday Night Raw. We're going to cover SmackDown as well as NXT. And, of course, the Lucha Underground, which is definitely one of those shows that has indeed shook the foundation again. You're going to definitely want to hear what we have to say about Lucha Underground during the show. But, of course, we start off with Monday Night Raw, which was the fallout from the WWE cock block, road block. I could give two bits of a shit block. End of the line. Roadblock, end of the line. Oh, yeah. Roadblock, end of the line. And we kicked off Raw in an interesting fashion with the whole, of course, with Gold, with Jericho and Kevin Owens talking about how, how Jericho was saying how the Codebreaker hurt him more than it hurt him. Kevin Owens said, it would hurt worse if I lost you as a best friend. And the line.
I'm glad that they didn't break up. That's my main bullet point, is they didn't break up. One of the few things that's still keeping me watching that hour of Raw week that I watch.
Oh, man. And the classic line of Chris Jericho of giving him the hug of Jericho. Bring it in, man! Jeez Louise. Everything Jericho touches, he's got the Midas touch. This year alone has just been flat out amazing. Oh my gosh. Jericho, I think I'm starting to really second guess and think that you have been Superstar of the Year, but I think Broken Matt still has my vote right now. But that would soon draw out Mick Foley, who would announce that at the Royal Rumble, it will be Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title, but with a little bit of an advocate. The caveat here is that we will see high above the ring Jericho locked in a shark cage, so that way there will be no interference, no questions asked, no possible reason for Jericho to get involved. And did you have any idea that Jericho was afraid of heights?
I had no idea, though. Admittedly, when I was watching this, and this was actually a segment that when they were doing the replays, because I started watching on Monday at about, I think it's probably 7:45. So for those of you who in other time zones, it's 45 minutes into the first hour for where we're at. Mm-hmm. So I actually missed the initial live broadcast of that. As soon as I saw that cage, I immediately went across the internet, found the opening half hour of the show, and I watched this. And all I can say is, when I said that I wanted them to, kind of steal a few glances at NXT's playbook, I didn't mean take ideas that they just used like a month ago. I hate to be this person, but maybe it's just because it happened so close to Roadblock, but I kind of get the same vibe off of the Iron Maiden match from Sunday now. It's like, didn't we do this in NXT? Wasn't this a thing before? And I'm just kind of... That being said, Chris Jericho can make anything good. I actually kind of liked it.
Honestly, again, Midas touch, Chris Jericho, what more do you need to say? So that is going to be what's happening with the Royal Rumble. Not exactly how I would have pictured it, but I'm guessing that they may go in the direction of. Well, let me ask you this: with this matchup being announced for Royal Rumble, is this where we see Roman Reigns pick up the title?
I, I, I think this is actually a good thing for me. It's kind of a tough call. I really think that this could go either way, and not in the whole, usual raw, wishy-washy booking sense, but in the, I can legitimately think of storytelling reasons why either guy could pull this off. I mean, I want Roman Reigns to pull it off, but I'm just saying, it's plausible instead of forced. What about you? What do you think?
I still have hopes that they go into the Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar rematch at WrestleMania and actually have the Bill Goldberg and Brock Lesnar rematch at Fastlane, because I think that would work out a lot better. They can just get that rivalry out of the way, and they could just have, Brock Lesnar probably win the Rumble, which would probably work best, I would think, for him. Then he could be, a two-time Royal Rumble winner. People get to see something that hasn't been happened since 2003. So I really do want to see Lesnar versus Reigns again, but I'm thinking that they might actually have Kevin Owens go over clean, and maybe they're going to continue having, Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens versus possibly Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn is awesome and he deserves a little more of a push than what he's getting right now. Maybe give him WrestleMania moments. Definitely. Maybe put the strap on him. You'd be insane if you didn't.
Strap on him.
I would.
Hell, I'm still thinking they should put the U.S. belt on him. I mean, why not?
Well, speaking about that, I'm glad you brought that up, because another thing that really happened on Raw was this is not really like Monday Night Raw. This was Monday night filled with promo after promo after promo after promo. But I think if you really wanted to sum up what Raw was about, you could basically sum it up as Monday Night Braun, because Braun Strowman, oh my God, he went on a tear, on a rampage, all because of the fact that Sami Zayn beat him in that time limit deal. Destroyed Titus O'Neil and Sin Cara, taking out everybody, and ironically enough, he interfered in the main event, so that got him in the main event spotlight for a bit. But he took out Seth Rollins and, ding ding, United States Champion Roman Reigns. So there's a possibility that they could have another mini feud going on between Braun and Roman. They're probably setting that up, so that might actually come into play at the Royal Rumble. But I will ask this: do you think that do you think that this is enough incentive for Braun Strowman, I should say, to go on this rampage like he did after losing to Sami Zayn, or do you think this is just another one of those excuses where it's kind of like, let's just give Braun Strowman something to do?
Well, I mean, we're talking about Raw, so it very easily could actually be just them giving Braun something to do. And there are the little voices in my head going, that's totally what's going on, that's totally what's going on, they're just bullshitting you right now. But, as kind of, I will be fair and say unsatisfying as this whole feud storyline has been, Braun's reaction, I mean, this was a guy who went from being the quiet big dude who said run every once in a while in the Wyatt family and having no other gimmicks, to suddenly being on his own and going on a winning streak, killing everybody in like 2 minutes or less. He goes up against Sami Zayn, and not only can he not pin him or submit him in 10 minutes, he loses because he can't. It makes a ton of sense why he would actually be this pissed off, why he would want to actually fight Sami Zayn. Like, screw time limits, just throw us in a cage or something, give me him, I want this, What would be even better is if they actually went full hog with it and tried to put the U.S. belt on him, because then Sami Zayn gets that kind of redemption, like, hey, I actually can beat him if he wins and takes the belt off him. But you could also kind of play around with it, since Sammy's so angry and kind of desperate, why not have him kind of force or push Mick into giving Braun Strowman the U.S. title match, and then, engineering events so he winds up winning it so that he can go up against Braun and get that definitive victory.
I think that would actually be pretty interesting to see that. I think that could be something that they could try to set up at maybe Rumble, maybe Fastlane. I think that would be a match worth seeing because, all honesty, I think the rivalry between Braun Strowman and Sami Zayn has just begun, and a lot of people are definitely hoping that this rivalry would have ended, but in all honesty, I think that the chemistry between Braun and Sami is just, I would definitely say undescribable for the reasons that they could go in a good direction with this, but they could also go in a bad direction with this. But all in all, I'm looking forward to seeing what they definitely do with Braun, with Sami, and hopefully they'll do something more with the U.S. title. I don't know. I would love to see maybe... Well, here's something that is very interesting that probably would have made more sense with the whole Braun Strowman loss on Sunday. If they would have done this kind of deal where Braun says, I can beat anybody in a certain amount of time, like, it started off as like 2 minutes or like 5 minutes or something like that, and then they did the whole 10-minute deal, I think it would have made more sense if they would have done it in that regard. But I think, just having the whole 10-minute thing kind of just thrown out there willy-nilly probably didn't do Braun or Sami too much in the way of favors. I mean, I think it definitely makes Sami Zayn look strong, but I think that it just would have made more sense if they would have done the time limit thing, like when Braun Strowman first came out, like he does his own version of the Beat the Clock. I don't know. What do you think?
I think a Beat the Clock thing could be kind of interesting. I think actually having, instead of it being, it's this one-time Beat the Clock challenge to see who's going to be number one contender, I think having an ongoing thing, it could almost be like his version of John Cena's Open U.S. Challenge, which, regardless of any feelings that I may or may not have about John Cena, that produced some great promos, great matches, and it made that belt look great again. And while this would be, quote-unquote, just doing it for a wrestler, hell yeah, I'd be down for that. That'd actually get me to, it's like, I kind of want to go to bed, check out the, it's like, only watched an hour of Raw, all of a sudden I see before the commercial break that I was about to shut the TV off to, and after the commercial break is a continuation of the Beat the Clock challenge. Well, I guess I'm not going to bed yet. Not even kidding. That would get me to stay up and watch a little bit extra.
Well, I think, like I said, it would work better probably with Braun because of the fact that, he's saying that, there's so many people that wouldn't survive 5 minutes, 10 minutes with him. Put that, theory to the challenge, really, because then you can find a way to legitimize Braun as a major, monster badass. And it would also kind of, prove his point, which a lot of times, surprise, surprise, Monday Night Raw has had a hard time doing. So it'd be nice to have somebody who has some integrity and some kind of, thing where they can actually back it up. It's like, hey, I may have lost to Sami Zayn here, but I took out this person in 10 minutes. I took out this person in 5 minutes. I took out this person in 2 minutes. Or maybe just like 1 second, like a second James Ellsworth, where it's just like, oh, well, that was about as much of a squash match as you could imagine. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how things go. One thing that you and Spencer definitely hit on with the Roadblock reaction Fallout show was that the Iron Maiden matchup, yes, I'm calling it that. I'm not calling it Iron Man because reasons. That Charlotte getting the victory definitely set up the feud between Charlotte and Bayley because, what a surprise, Vince McMahon is apparently not high on Sasha as everybody else is, which I think is dumb. And one of the other reasons why is that he thinks that Bayley is more over as a babyface than Sasha is.